All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're going to objectively unpack a truly fascinating text from 2011 by an author named Xu Fang. We're looking closely at a document that attempts to do something, well, highly unusual. It tries to fuse the strict, unyielding laws of physics and biology with the very specific theology to create one single universal doctrine. The text is actually titled, "All Those Who Follow the Way of the Greatest Creator Will Have a Wonderful Future." So let's look exactly at how the author constructs this argument step by step, using literally everything from chemical reactions to ancient philosophy. To really wrap our heads around this text, we're going to explore four main themes today. Number 1, the ultimate promise. Number 2, the laws of inevitability. 3, the greatest creator. And finally 4, the universal path.
All right, kicking things off with Section 1, the ultimate promise, where we explore this idea of a wonderful future.
Now, what's super interesting is that Xu Fang doesn't waste any time with ambiguity. He comes right out of the gate with this incredibly bold, unequivocal guarantee. He essentially says, if you follow this specific path, you are guaranteed a wonderful future and you'll enjoy infinite pleasures. But here's the kicker. He doesn't just leave these infinite pleasures up to our imagination.
Yeah, instead of some vague idea of the afterlife, we get a highly specific taxonomy. He lays out 5 distinct, enduring realms of pleasure: the Life Shangyuan era, the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, the Elysium world, and its celestial island continent. I mean, think about that for a second. It treats heaven not as some abstract metaphor, but as a literal map with coordinates. It really taps into that deep human desire for order, setting up the spiritual world as something that's wonderfully quantifiable.
Which leads us perfectly into Section 2, the laws of inevitability, blending science and spirit.
So this is where the methodology gets truly unique. The author places mathematical constants right alongside moral actions. For example, an object needs to hit an escape velocity of 11.2 kilometers per second to break Earth's gravity. Or the angles of a triangle add up to 180 degrees in Euclidean geometry. And yes, you're reading this right. Combining vitamin C and shrimp causes fatal arsenic poisoning. Now, whether that specific chemistry checks out in the real world or not, he uses it to make a massive underlying point. Spiritual laws are exactly as rigid as physical ones. Do 3 kind deeds a day, and you yield heaven's blessing in 3 years. 3 wicked deeds, heaven's disaster in 3 years. Karma in this view is literally as mechanical and predictable as gravity itself.
It all boils down to this idea of absolute cause and effect. Think of it as a strict binary. If you chase the sun, you escape the darkness. Chase the dark, and you hardly see the light. It's presented as a simple, mechanical truth, right? The literal direction you step mathematically dictates the exact reality you're going to experience.
And he takes this even further. Have you ever considered that sitting down for too long might have cosmic implications? Well, pulling from traditional physiology, the text states that gazing for a long time impairs your blood, lying for a long time impairs your qi, sitting impairs muscles, standing impairs bone, and walking impairs your tendons. You might be wondering, why include this? Well, to hammer home the idea that there are absolutely 0 accidents in this framework. Every single physical movement, just like every kind thought, triggers a strict, unavoidable consequence.
So it's all about hitting a critical mass. The text argues that the buildup of quantitative changes will inevitably result in qualitative changes once a critical point is surpassed. Just like water instantly turns to ice the second it hits 0 degrees Celsius, your spiritual choices build up, degree by degree. And eventually they force a qualitative change, instantly dictating which of those specific paradises you'll ultimately be sent to.
Moving on to Section 3, the greatest creator who acts as the architect of these laws.
Now, obviously, every incredibly strict system needs a lawmaker. And here, the greatest creator isn't just your standard spiritual figure, but a highly orderly architect. They are the supreme being, the eternal fountain of wisdom, and the absolute origin of life, love, and truth. But you really want to notice that last attribute, upholder of justice. This is a creator who absolutely refuses to reward rebellion or punish obedience. The argument is that without this ruthless, mathematical adherence to fairness, the entire universe would just collapse into chaos.
And because of this supreme overarching order, the cosmology presented here is incredibly precise. We aren't dealing with some infinite, unknowable expanse of space. No, the text claims we are dealing with exactly 36-dimensional spaces managed by this creator. 36!
And it doesn't stop there. Alongside heaven and hell, it states there are exactly 20 parallel worlds.
Think of these as meticulously organized sorting spaces, where individuals are placed based strictly on their accumulated karmic math.
But to keep this highly rigid mathematical system from feeling too cold and calculating, the author brings in a familial metaphor. If a son asks for bread, the father will not give him a stone. This is used to logically justify why obedience to the greatest creator must inherently result in special blessings. It perfectly bridges the gap between cold, hard physics and a universe that is fundamentally benevolent, as long as you play by its incredibly strict rules.
All right, let's bring it all together in Section 4, the Universal Path, Synthesizing World Religions.
To synthesize all these different global faiths, the author takes the Buddhist concept of Tathagatas and fundamentally redefines it. In this framework, Tathagatas are truthful figures who speak ultimate words, are never deceitful, and aren't heterodox. And their singular, unified purpose? To teach humanity to follow the exact same way of the greatest creator.
And honestly, this is where one of the boldest claims of the entire text is made. Jesus Christ, Buddha Shakyamuni, and the celestial being Lao Tzu, they are all explicitly identified as Tathagatas. The text argues they weren't out there starting competing religions. According to this overarching framework, they were actually just different messengers pointing to the exact same divine path. It's a massive, sweeping attempt to put literally all global theology under one single unified umbrella.
Everything culminates here, in a final, biological parallel. The text compares the Creator's way to a mother's milk. Just as a mother's milk is undeniably the most nutritious drink in the physical world, following this Creator's way is the absolute best way to secure the most beautiful future in the spiritual world. It really is a fascinating way to ground a profound, cosmic promise in a biological absolute.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want you to take a step back and really think about this. How does a text that fuses rigid scientific equations with a synthesized global theology challenge our traditional categories of religious and philosophical belief systems? I mean, this doctrine doesn't just ask for blind faith. It demands we look at spirituality as an observable, mathematical science, blending Euclidean geometry, escape velocities, and universal theology all into one. What actually happens to our understanding of belief when heaven is presented as being as mathematically inevitable as gravity? It's a completely fascinating question to ponder. Keep questioning the frameworks around you, and we'll catch you next time.